The thing I look at our team with right now is they are really trying to put themselves in a place where they can hang their hat on the defensive end. And we're getting there. We're getting there. And the other day we told them there's two teams in the country, the top 10 in field goal percentage defense and field goal percentage offense, and we're one of them. And we want to stay in that position. And right now, the biggest thing we can keep working on is making sure that we're getting better as individual defenders, collective defenders, that our rebounding continues to improve, and that we keep turning defense into offense. Sometimes you can do that in this league, sometimes you can't. But the bottom line is you've got to be able to defend. And I think tonight 64 deflections, holding them to 13% from the three, 33% from the field. We had the 64, we had 3 guys with double-figure deflections with Cody, Victor, and Jordan, and Will had 9. Those are good things. Those are really good things for us. We're trying to integrate a lot of different guys into the lineup at different times, and it's easier said than done. And we just got to continue to. That's why I know we're going to keep getting better, because eventually some of those things will click. Right now we don't have tremendous synergy when we go to the bench, but I think over the long haul we will get it. And that's what we're trying to build towards right now. But they're a hard team to play against. They play very tough, competitive. They play controlled basketball in the sense that they're playing at a pace. And I think he's doing an excellent job as a coach. I don't think there's any doubt about it. I think they're going to have a very good team moving forward. And I thought our guys, again, tonight were really, really locked into what we had to do defensively and what we had to do to win the game, and they did.
First question.
Is that defensive mindset coming mostly from the coaches, or are they just kind of grasping that on their own?
We're not guarding anybody. I mean, so and I don't think I could keep anybody in front of me or keep them off the boards. That's them. They want to be really good, and I think they really understood that was something throughout the off season and throughout the early season that they had to get a lot better at, and they are. So they're doing an excellent job of continuing to improve. And it's a hard league, obviously. You don't have the best league in the country on one end of the floor. I mean, you've got to be able to not only score, but to guard people in this league, and our guys are doing a much better job of that game to game.
Coach, I asked Will about the 8-0 run to start the second half, and he pointed to the 3 defensive stops that led to that. So that's the same type of thing.
Absolutely. The 3 stops in a row is a big, big deal to us. The deflections are a big deal to us. And the field goal percentages, 3-point wise and overall, are big deals to us. The defensive rebounds are a big deal to us. Those are things that it's really easy to look at it and say, well, they score a lot of points. Well, sometimes in this league, I mean, 72 is a pretty good night, and it's way under where we would be, but that's a pretty good night in the Big Ten. I mean, the game last night was in the 40s. Again, we're not trying to play that way, but sometimes you've got to deal with what the game brings, and I think that these guys are really, really understanding that they'll go as far as their defense and their rebounding takes them.
On a night where Cody's not scoring, what are the things that he's doing?
Well, I mentioned he had double-figure deflections. He was really good with the rebounding, especially in the first half. Didn't play as many minutes in the second half, but they've got to guard him, and there's numerous people that are around him, and he facilitates for others. He really does, and moves the ball at a good rate. He didn't really look for that many opportunities to score. And I'm not concerned about that. He will, but he does a lot of different things in the flow of the game. But one thing he's always got is constant team attention. It's not like they just assign one person and hey, we'll just leave you alone with Cody a minute. He might be guarded by one person, but everybody knows when he has the ball, and they defensively and they play accordingly.
What does that say about the team that he doesn't try to force anything, and also the team doesn't miss a beat when he's not scoring?
It says he's a really mature young man. I wish he knows he can be as aggressive as he wants to be. He can look for offensive opportunities. We want him to shoot the ball. I mean, I don't think it's anything of that. But the one thing you don't want to do is, I just get concerned about his technique. I get concerned about making sure that he's finishing and doing all the things that he needs to do, and making sure that his skill level continues to be high, and just let him play the game.
Dustin.
Yogi and Vic obviously seem to have really found their rhythm as shooters. I guess obviously big time tonight. What's the evolution been like for each of those guys to kind of get in a rhythm like that?
Hard work. They spent a lot of time at it. Yogi did an excellent job tonight shooting the ball, and really shot it. You could see it yesterday. And we have not practiced. We walked through on Monday, and we probably had the shortest practice of the year yesterday. Outside of weightlifting, we were probably on the court an hour and 5 minutes. And so we lost a lot of our rhythm, and it got us a little bit tonight. But we got a hard stretch coming up. I mean really, next week is 3 games. I mean, it's Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday, and every game is going to be an absolute battle. So I knew we might be giving up a little bit in execution to make sure that we had really good energy and build it over the long haul. But at the same time, those guys spent a lot of extra time shooting the ball. I thought Will shot the ball extremely well. So we made 11 threes. I think that's really positive.
Coach, you talk about the hard stretch coming up. How important were these 2 games after the loss to Wisconsin?
Well, they're all important, and what it does is it gives us, it sounds very cliche-ish and corny, but you want to be on a 1-game winning streak constantly. You know, these guys do an excellent job of looking at each game. That they've never played with the intention of the next game being on their mind other than the game that they're in. And sometimes when you're older, and sometimes when you have a lot of expectations on you, and you play in a league like this, you can look at the schedule and can you lose sight? Well, those teams get beat. Those teams get beat. You can't get too high, you can't get too low. And you've got to take each game for what it is, the most important game, because if you spend too much time celebrating one, or you spend too much time dreading the result of another, you can get in a slide in a hurry in this league. And you can't let that happen. So these guys have done a great job, and then the entire focus will be on their improvement and preparing for Michigan State.
You mentioned Will. What do you think of the kind of the spark he gave you guys tonight?
Well, I think that's who Will is. I think that's what Will brings. I think that's his game. I think that's his energy and his passion. He was very, very good defensively. I thought he was extremely good on Sunday at Northwestern, even though it wasn't a box score good necessarily, but it was a very, very strong game from him. And he's one of our best players. He really is, and I think he's an excellent shooter. He reads the game well, and that's how he played tonight.
Coach, you guys really caught fire from behind the line in the second half. Do you feel like your players were kind of feeding off each other? You know, is each different player hit a 3 on successive possessions? Maybe.
I don't know. They all work very hard on their shooting. That's how I look at it. There's not the guys that are making shots are the ones that are spending the most extra time on the shooting. I mean, it's no accident. And we spend. I think we spend a very good amount of time on shooting the ball in our practices, but that's never going to be enough if you're going to be a great shooter. I mean, you could practice your entire practice on offense. We wouldn't win many games, but it still wouldn't be enough. You know, it's a hard league to make baskets in. In the teams, you've got to make shots. I mean, again, going back to the Wisconsin game, I'd like to pick 50 things that we didn't do in that game last week. But bottom line, we didn't make enough shots. And when you look at these games, it's the teams that can play through those droughts. We didn't that night, but the teams that can play through those droughts and have that great maturity and toughness on the defensive end and never let their head get down are the ones that win the games. And we've got to continue to do that.
Especially when it's just Yogi, Vic, and Will, when those guys are making the threes. How much does that change the dynamic, especially when you're playing a zone? And obviously, they're going to focus more on Christian and Jordy on the perimeter because they know those guys can shoot. When you're getting it from guys that aren't always your main three-point shooters, how much does that change the dynamic and help you, especially when they're really trying to take Cody away?
I think it's big because eventually it's going to become, you know, well, it'll never be a one-on-one game for Cody in the post. I mean, they're always going to build around stopping him, but it allows him more freedom, a little more movement. He can go to the rim quicker. There's no doubt that he can catch it a little deeper and go up to the basket and not wait for the cutter to come through, and that's something that he's got to continue to get better at. The ball moved. The ball moved at a really high level. It reversed, you know, and sometimes for us, just one reversal is really good. 2 and 3 is unbelievable. But when it's moving even that second side and not staying on the first side, well, then it gives these guys space and time, and they can drive the ball. But again, they just work so hard on their shooting. I think we'll continue to get better there.
You spoke earlier about just getting guys used to playing with each other a little bit. Is that why Hunter seemed to play in a little bit longer stretches at a time than, was that a conscious effort?
Yeah, absolutely. And Maurice, you know, I wanted to get Maurice in. He was available to us. Maurice has still not had a full practice, but he's practiced longer. And he's really a product of when I go short like this, so we just walk through on Monday and then don't do much yesterday. That hurts somebody like him because he needs the reps. He needs, you know, the sweat equity of getting up and down the court and getting banged around and things like that, so he gets used to it. But I thought he did a nice job. And I think the big thing now is that he's got to become, for us, one of those shot makers. We know that he can do it. And he stayed on the court tonight because he defended, and he had really good energy. And he didn't let him miss here or there affecting. That's crucial. But we're also going to need him to make shots for us.
Last question, Eric.
We saw your father-in-law here tonight. Are you enjoying the success of your brother?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And tomorrow will be a really busy day for them. And Joni, I mean, Joni is, there's been so many requests, and JD's been helping, and the Ravens and the 49ers have really tried to operate for Jack and Jackie. And they've handled it so well. I mean, they could be busy 14 hours a day right now, and with all the opportunities that are there. But it's really, I got to spend about 45 minutes with Jack and Jackie this afternoon when they got there, and it's just, it's amazing. It really is. But the thing that's amazing most about it, I mean, living in it, those guys are high-level coaches day in and day out. And when you're in the family, I mean, you're privy to some of the things that go on behind the scenes and all the different things that lead up to this moment. And then you really appreciate it that much more. I appreciate it as a coach, but I also appreciate it as somebody that has a leadership position. Those guys are tremendous leaders. And it's no accident. And then Joni's the same way. I mean, they get it from Jack and Jackie. And it's just no accident. And I think somebody like Tony La Russa that's here tonight, Tony has been, you know, through our friendship, he's gotten to know John and Jim. And there's such a connection that builds. I've met people through them, and their dads introduced them to people. I mean, there's just such a great connection. And those guys absorb everything that comes their way, and they're decisive with it, and they take the next step. And when I'm around Jack and Jackie, I see exactly why that happens.
When it comes down to the actual game, how tough is it going to be to watch?
Oh, it'll be hard. Yeah, I don't think anybody can, and I'm not even, I mean, it was really hard for Joni in Thanksgiving. I know it was very hard for her parents. Nobody saw them because they were back in an office watching it back in Baltimore. That's extremely hard. And it's not, well, one's going to win and one's going to lose. No, one is going to have the most ultimate moment professionally, and one is going to be very down from the result. And the thing that makes it such a unique family is the one that's at the top of the mountain that day is going to feel a lot worse for the one that isn't. And that's why it's such a unique family. But I don't know how it will be. I don't know. I mean, you want to say what a great thing. They're there. But you know that those two are, it's going to be intense. It's going to be combative. They're going to give their team everything that they have. They already are. And their team will give everything to each other. That's why they're in the positions that they're in. And it'll be a great football game.
Thanks.